In Apex Mobile, movement is what separates the casuals from the pros, but a lot of people can't even master the basics. So here is the ultimate beginner's movement guide in Apex Mobile, covering techniques such as sliding, strafing, wall bouncing, and more. Now this is a beginner guide, so we are going to start off with the very basics, and then we're going to move on to more advanced techniques. First off, we have crouching. Now there's many reasons why you would want to crouch, but more specifically for fights, it forces your enemy to adjust their aim, and even better, it decreases the size of your hitbox, meaning it will be harder for your opponent to hit their shots, and this is especially great for legends with larger hitboxes such as Pathfinder or Gibraltar. In addition, crouching makes your footsteps quieter, allows you to take advantage of smaller head glitches, and some weapons even have reduced recoil while you are crouching. Now before we move on to the next topic, we need to talk about a little something called momentum, and in simple terms, it's basically how fast you are moving. Certain moves require a minimum momentum, and if you don't have enough momentum, you won't be able to pull off these moves, and even worse, if you try to pull off these moves when you don't have enough momentum, it can cost you your life. Some quick tips to have a higher momentum or faster movement speed: make sure you wait a little bit after initiating a sprint because it takes about a second or two to reach full sprinting speed, and also holster your weapon, as holding your weapon out makes you move slower. There are also ways to keep your momentum going after performing movements, such as sliding and wall bouncing, all of which you are going to discover later in the video, so don't worry. Next up, we have sliding. In order to slide, you need to have some momentum, so you can't slide from walking or crouching. Typically, you need to be sprinting to enter a slide. The main use for sliding is to move around faster, but there are two mechanics in the game that can prevent this. The first is dead sliding, which is when your sliding speed slows down until you stop moving, and at that point you are a sitting duck. The second is slide fatigue, which causes consecutive slides to be slower and shorter than the last. Just a quick note on dead sliding: the distance you can slide before coming to a dead slide usually depends on the angle you are sliding at. So sliding on even ground will get you a regular distance, sliding uphill won't get you very far, and sliding downhill will give you a much higher speed and distance. Now here is how to pull off a proper slide. First, make sure you are sprinting at full speed before entering a slide. Once you notice that your slide is slowing down, hit the jump button to get back on your feet and start sprinting again. This is called a slide jump. Also, only slide once or twice at a time. Any more will cause slide fatigue. However, there is a way to enter a slide with little momentum, and that is the jump slide. You can jump in any direction and then hit crouch before you hit the ground to enter a slide. In fact, jump sliding can even be done while you are ADS, and we'll get to this later in the video. It sounds complicated, but as someone who has basically never played the PC and console versions of Apex, I was able to get the basics of sliding within a day or two. There's one more basic kind of slide, which is called edge boosting, which is a little speed boost you get from sliding off edges. Moving on to a more advanced and flashy technique, and that is wall jumping or wall bouncing. Now it may seem hard, but after this section, you will be able to do it with ease. To make it easier, I would highly suggest setting your climbing control to easy. First, let's quickly understand how wall bouncing works. Wall jumps work by entering the climbing animation and then jumping off the surface you are climbing. When done quickly, you will just barely enter the climbing animation before jumping off, and that's essentially what wall jumping is. It's grabbing and quickly propelling yourself off a wall or another vertical surface. In order to perform a simple wall jump, all you need to do is run towards a wall, jump at that wall, let go of your joystick, and this also means you want to make sure you are not auto sprinting, and then you can either spam your jump button so you will instantly wall bounce as soon as you grab the wall, or you can time your wall bounce, and this will give you more control as to the precise moment when you perform your wall bounce. However, most players will incorporate a slide before they jump at the wall because slide jumping is a lot faster than just jumping. Now, while jumping straight off a wall can be useful, there will be many times where you want to run along a wall and maintain your momentum in relatively the same direction. For beginners, I would recommend learning to run at a slight angle to the wall and follow every step I mentioned earlier, except right before you jump off the wall, make sure you are looking straight at the wall. Because again, the main thing is that you have to enter the climbing animation for a split second to perform your wall bounce. So you want to run at a slight angle to the wall, slide, jump at the wall, let go of your joystick, quickly turn and look straight at the wall, and then either spam your jump button or tap it once you make contact with the wall. The more you practice this, the larger the angle you will be able to run at the wall and still wall bounce. A Call of Duty player once said something along the lines of, "As important as it is to hit your shots, it's equally as important to make the enemy miss theirs." And that is exactly where strafing comes in, which is essentially moving around your enemy while still maintaining proper aim. So for starters, you can simply move left and right to mess up your opponent's aim, but then you can even throw in a crouch here and there. And if you're feeling extra spicy, you can strafe in one direction, jump, and then hit a slide while still being ADS. The goal here is to be as unpredictable as possible while still being accurate. So don't be doing all these crazy movements if you can't even hit your shots. But it's not even limited to being ADS, as being in hipfire mode allows you to move faster and opens up even more possibilities. Here are some examples. Mid-fight, you can stop firing and quickly slide to a new position, or even close the gap between you and your opponent, making their head spin. This is best done by holstering your weapon first and then repositioning, because this way your momentum will be a lot higher and you can perform the movements quicker. Or maybe you might be feeling yourself, so you could hit a wall bounce mid-fight to really screw up your opponent's aim. And this is actually really good if you need to reload mid-fight. So my advice at the end of the day, practice with purpose, focus on solidifying the basics, then moving on to more advanced techniques, and then actually going out and using those techniques in real games. What I really want you all to understand is that there is no simple answer to good movement. Different techniques are to be used in different situations, and this is what separates good movement from great movement. It may seem scary at first to try and use new tactics that you haven't mastered yet, but trust me, the more you do it, the more you experiment, the more you go out and put in the effort, the more you will learn what good movement really is. And then you can start destroying your opponents, winning more fights, and becoming a better player.